edition of your program from BGI TV Current. As expectedly, like we used to bring it, the newspaper headlines today. My name is Morire Rabila Lawal. Today, the 22nd day in the month of June 2023. Good morning once again.
It's a lovely morning as I welcome all our viewers across the globe. My name is Igboho, and on the paper review for this morning, I have the Nation newspaper, People's Gazette.
I have with me the Vanguard and the Punch, and the first rider from the Vanguard is "Stay clear of more borrowing, DMO cautions FG."
And from the Nation newspaper, Acting IG Igboho vows to secure Nigeria.
Ministerial sloth, Tinubu may dump ex-governors, prefers technocrats, source.
Envoys, reforms well received in UK.
FG OK's reopening of Seme border for vehicle importation.
From People's Gazette, Governor Oti accuses state contractors of frustrating building of federal secretariat in Abia.
I'm beginning from the Vanguard newspaper with the first story. The Debt Management Office DMO has warned the federal government against additional borrowing, saying 73.5% of revenue generated this year will be used to service debt. According to the DMO, the projected FGN debt service to revenue ratio of 73.5% for 2023 is high and cannot support higher levels of borrowing, and it's also a threat to debt sustainability. The rider again, "Stay clear of more borrowing, DMO cautions FG," from the Vanguard newspaper.
And
Moving on to the next story from the Vanguard newspaper, again from the presidency. As a push for ministerial appointment gathers steam, there are strong indications that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu may have dumped the idea of populating his government, former governors, and prefers technocrats and professionals to be members of his cabinet, information revealed. The information also was reliably informed yesterday that the faith of former governors in the formation of the cabinet remains doubtful, as the president is said not to be looking in their direction. The rider once again, "Ministerial slots, Tinubu may dump ex-governors, prefer technocrats, source."
And from the Nation newspaper, Acting IG Igboho vows to secure Nigeria. With a promise to secure Nigerian Acting Inspector General of Police Kayode Igboho yesterday assumed office at the first headquarters in Abuja as the 22nd police boss. The IG said the police will also strive for excellence, transparency, and accountability. He spoke while taking the bathing from his predecessor, Alkali Usman, at the Leos Edet House in Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Igboho, who was decorated at the State House on Tuesday by the Vice President, Kasim Shettima, noted that much still needs to be done to improve policing in the country, adding that he was aware of the enormous responsibility that accomplished his appointment. And from the rider, Acting IG Igboho vows to secure Nigeria.
Director of Road Transport in the Ministry of Transportation, Ibrahim Musa, yesterday disclosed that the federal government has approved the reopening of Seme border for the importation of vehicles. Speaking at the Economic Community of West African State ECOWAS meeting organized between officials of Nigeria and Benin, Musa said the development followed complaints by freight forwarders operating at the Seme border. The director, who spoke at the ECOWAS monitoring team's visit at the Seme joint border post, said, "I was here with the former Minister of State for Transportation when the freight forwarders pleaded that the border should be reactivated for the free movement of goods and services." And the rider again, "FG OK's reopening of Seme border for vehicle importation," from the Vanguard newspaper.
Envoy, reforms well received in UK. The economic reform of the federal government are attracting more global attention. At least 3 world leaders and some global financial institutions have indicated interest in discussing partnership with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in France. The president arrived in the French capital, Paris, on Tuesday for a 2-day new Global Finance Pact Summit, which begins today. British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Richard Montegre, who met with Vice President Kasim Shettima yesterday at the Presidential Villa Abuja, said Nigeria was becoming a big opportunity. The envoy said the feedback from the UK government and the British business community was that the first steps of the administration were well received. Shettima urged Monterrey to work towards setting up a Nigerian-UK bi-national commission. And from the rider, Envoy, reform well received in UK.
And the next story coming from the Vanguard newspaper is coming from Ondo State. Ondo Deputy Governor moves against Akeredolu as regards medical leave. It's coming, the frosty relationship between Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State and his deputy, Mr. Lucky Ayedatiwa, yesterday took a new twist as there are alleged plans to supplant the governor. Akeredolu transmitted power to the deputy governor after embarking on medical treatment and is expected back in the country on July 6. But fresh facts emerged that since the announcement of the power transfer, Mr. Ayedatiwa has reportedly been undermining the authority of the governor's office through his actions and decisions. The senior special assistant to the governor on special duties and strategies, Dr. Doyin Odebowale, recently raised the alarm that some politicians are using the absence of Akeredolu, who is currently on medical vacation, to capture the state's treasury. The rider is coming from Ondo State medical leave. Ondo Deputy Governor moves against Akeredolu.
And from the People's Gazette, Governor Oti accuses state actors of frustrating building of federal secretariat in Abia. Governor Alex Oti says having a federal secretariat in Abia will have multipliers economic and aesthetic effect on the state's overall development, but he accuses the state actors of frustrating establishing the secretariat. Mr. Oti said this on Wednesday when Sam Oduogbu, a former legislator representing Ikwagu Humaya, paid in a courtesy visit at the government house, Humaya. Mr. Oti regretted that while almost all the states in the federation, including those created in 1996, had functional federal secretariat, Abia has yet to have its own. Mr. Oti expressed dismay that efforts to construct a federal secretariat in the states were frustrated in the past by some state actors. The governor commended Mr. Oduogbu for his unwavering pursuit of the project despite frustration encountered along the way. And from the rider, Governor Oti accuses state actors of frustrating building of federal secretariat in Abia.
And to the Punch newspaper, after dwelling and reading from the Vanguard at the first path, board's dissolution, 2,000 vacancies open for APC faithful, Tinubu's allies. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is set to fill no fewer than 2,000 vacant positions following Monday's dissolution of governing boards of over 153 agencies, parastatals, institutions, and government-owned companies. The president, it was gathered on Wednesday, would fill the positions mostly with members of his party, the All Progressive Congress. The dissolved boards were among the 209 constituted by former President Muhammadu Buhari in December 2017. Information report that Tinubu on Monday night announced the dissolution of the governing boards of all federal government parastatals, agencies, and commissions. And with the rider again, 2,000 vacancies open for APC faithful, Tinubu's allies.
And from People's Gazette, I'm coming back home. Yoruba shouldn't be afraid. Sunday, Igboho. Sunday Adeyemo, a fugitive and self-determination activist, has indicated his interest in returning to Nigeria barely 2 years that he fled the country. Mr. Adeyemo, aka Sunday Igboho, who spoke in a viral video, revealed that he would soon return to his country home of Oyo, southwestern Nigeria, saying no one would intimidate him any longer. I am coming back to Ibadan. I'm originally from Oyo State. I'm coming back home. So, Yoruba should not be afraid and nothing will happen. Nobody can make the other person afraid, he said in the video footage obtained by People's Gazette on Wednesday. In July 2021, Mr. Sunday Igboho, a campaigner for Yoruba self-determination, was declared wanted by Nigerian Security State Service after his house located at Soka, Ibadan, was invaded by the SSS operative at midnight. And from the rider once again, I'm coming back home. Yoruba shouldn't be afraid. Sunday Igboho.
Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission has recommended an upward review in the basic salaries of political and judicial office holders. The chairman of the commission, Alhaji Muhammadu Shehu, who was represented by the RMA FC commissioner from Kebbi State, Mrs. Rekia Tanko Ayuba, disclosed these on Tuesday in Birnin Kebbi during the presentation of the reviewed remuneration package of political and judicial office holders to the state's governor, Dr. Nasser Idris. Commenting on the proposed salary increase, the organized labor described it as provocative because of the fuel subsidy removal pain Nigerians were going through. The rider again labor fumes as RMFAC hikes politicians' salaries.
And going through the Nation newspaper, student loan plan sparks controversies in universities. Labor centers in the universities are divided over the student loan policy initiated by the federal government due to begin in September. The policy has further deepened the division between the Congress of Nigerian University Academic, CONUA, and the Academic Staff Union of University, ASU. While CONUA is in support of the policy, ASU described it as discriminatory against poor parents, but parents are backing the federal government's plan. CONUA says students could approach an education bank for loan to fund their studies under the law. ASU argued that those whose parents' yearly earnings surpass 500,000 will be excluded, although CONUA also picked holes in some clauses of the law. It said that the scheme was a welcome development. The association lauded President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for signing the bill. The bill for an act to provide for easy access to higher education for Nigerians through an interest-free loan from the Nigerian Education Bank established in this act to provide education for Nigerians and other purposes connected thereof was signed by the president earlier this month, and according to the rider, student loan plans spark controversies in universities.
Operatives of the Department of State Services have conducted a search of the Abuja home and office of the suspended chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Abdulrashid Bawa. Information reports that the secret police also, during the week, invited Bawa's close associates in the EFCC for questioning over alleged mismanagement, misappropriation, and diversion of proceeds of sold assets forfeited to the EFCC. However, when contacted on Wednesday to speak on the development, the spokesperson for the DSS, Dr. Peter Afunaya, said no comments. Bawa, who is currently being held in the custody of the DSS Yellow House, Abuja, is being probed for alleged financial impropriety as EFCC helmsman. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had on June 14 suspended Bawa as EFCC chairman indefinitely, following which the DSS picked him up. And the rider, for more story, DSS combs Bawa's Abuja home, extend probes to associates.
Moriri, looking at the promise made by the new Inspector General of Police and relating it with the recent sack and dismissal of some police officials from duty based on their atrocity and those things that are perpetrated in the service, what would be your take on the new promises that the new IG had just made?
Everyone that assumes office as a new personnel or officer definitely will or would have his or her own manifesto and aspirations, and possibly talk to Nigerians for sounding a note of warning to all bad eggs in the commission, and also wanting people to believe in him. I would say it's going to be a long journey for Egbetokun, and I wish him all the best, because his previous records, or his records in the past, some were shady, some were not too good to some people. We should expect thorough cleansing. Unlike when Alkali Baba was there, Alkali Baba was only good at announcing an arrest and investigation on people, but he wasn't a respecter of rule of law, as he was the IG, the former IG. A lot of cases concerning Alkali Baba, and a lot of chanting before eventually getting a forceful retirement from office. So let's see what the new IGP will do, as he assumed office yesterday, taking the baton from his predecessor, Usman Alkali Baba.
Let's take a flashback on when Alkali Baba was in office and what happened as in Sheun Kuti during when he was arrested for some issues and things like that. Now, considering the image of the Nigerian police force, and the various atrocities which they were finger on, maybe having a kind of a connive activities with Yahoo boys and some other things, and saying that okay, Nigerians maltreat the police officers which are supposed to protect the citizen of the country. Now, as Egbetokun is coming on board, what do you think are some of the things I need to checkmate as a head in that particular department?
Like I mentioned earlier, he has his own plans and missions. So he's definitely going to work according to what he has placed on his own mind, to making sure all of these bad eggs are flushed out, all of these criminals that are in our Nigerian police uniforms. Some of them, you'll see them in mufti, dressed like criminals, open criminals. The only thing you get to see to make you believe these are police officers is maybe the vest. And I have not seen or watched any developed countries with their police officers dressing like thugs the way Nigerian police are. And the treatment Nigerian police have been dispensing to ordinary citizens. Like sometimes you go to parks, you go to public centers, you pick up guys randomly without any offense. What are your duties other than protecting the lives of these people and their properties? Other than you safeguarding them when time of trouble comes. Even if you are to arrest someone, it shouldn't be manhandling as if you are handling an animal. Even if you are to handle an animal in a developed country, there are measures, there are ways and manners. Nigerian police, most of them, the good ones are there, but majority you see on the streets, their attitude, their manners is questionable. It's questionable. You go to someone's home for an arrest. The moment they ask for your search warrant or what to identify you as a real existing Nigerian police officer, the next thing they point gun at you as if they were not trained. Government are trying their best. They are the ones that are not doing the needful. My submission.
Okay. So, Moiri, let's look at this. Yesterday, the president traveled to Paris in France. And with the reports that we just got from over there, it shows that a lot of countries are ready to partner with Nigeria in terms of business activities and other things. Don't you see Nigerian as the latest bride in town?
It is, because there are so many opportunities, there are so many resources, there are so many investments that can yield and bring that renewed hope we're expecting. So if Nigeria is not a country with all of these attractive blessings, no other country in the world would think of doing anything with Nigeria. So I wish Tinubu a success at every of the meetings he's doing in Europe presently.
Can you go ahead with...
All right, with my next rider from the Punch newspaper, the Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has approved the promotion of 11 Ibadan High Chiefs to be the crown obas to be it as in the information is coming. I reported that the governor recently signed the chieftaincy amendment bill into law, seeking to grant him autonomy to present beaded crowns and coronets to chiefs in the state following its passage by the State House of Assembly. The High Chiefs are Balogun of Ibadan Land, Owolabi Olakunleyin, Otun Olubadan of Ibadan Land, Rashid Ladoja, Otun Balogun, Tajuddin Ajibola, Osi Olubadan, Eddie Oyewole, Osi Balogun Lateef Adebimpe, Ashipa Olubadan, Biodun Kola Daisi, Ashipa Balogun, Kola Adebola, Ekerin Olubadan, Amidu Ajibade, Ekerin Balogun, Olubunmi Isioye, Ekarun Olubadan, Bayo Akonde, and Ekarun Balogun Abiodun Aziz. An informed government source who confided in correspondent on ground on Wednesday said the governor had given his consent on the promotion, and the High Chiefs will be officially installed as traditional rulers on Friday, July 7, 2023. A new relief to some of the tussles concerning royalty in Ibadan and Oyo State in general. The rider again, Makinde elevates Ladoja, 10 other Ibadan High Chiefs to Oba.
Okay, let's take this. Once again, I want to take you on this from the People's Gazette. Governor Oti said something that some state actors have been frustrating government effort from creating the platform for federal secretariat to be built in his own state right there in Abia State. What would be your take on, is it possible for the internal forces to stop the federal government from, setting up a secretariat in the various states across the federation or something? Or what is your take on that?
If other state actors in that particular state, Abia State,
Yes.
if they have done their constitutional duties and they have the fear of God and they are not they've not been eating the treasury of the state and the federal which is coming to the state, there should be, or there should have been, a federal secretariat in that state. Imagine the years back the state was created, I think 1996 thereabout. Until date, there is no functioning secretariat of the federal government in the state. It means something is wrong. Some people should be investigated and arrested.
Then let's quickly take at this look at this headline. It says, "I'm coming back home. Yoruba should not be afraid. Sunday Igboho." We know what had happened for some few years back. That's right from 2021, when Sunday Igboho, the campaigner and a self-Yoruba determinant, was, arrested, and before he could get caught, he left the country. So, and based on the fact that he was clamoring for a kind of a freedom for his people, the government in power then see him as an enemy of the state and was, gave an instruction that he should be arrested and brought to book. What is your take for the statement he just made of recent that he's coming back to his hometown, Nigeria, and Oyo State to be precise?
There was no record of Sunday Igboho arrested. His house at Soka area in Ibadan was invaded by some kangaroo DSS at midnight, and they destroyed billions of naira worth of property, as in property worth billions of naira, and I think he was targeted to be killed and weeks away. And probably when the day breaks, we tend to have so many rumors. This say this, that say this, and eventually some people were killed, and some people were picked up from Ibadan to Abuja, unknown destination. Only the grace of God that led them to regain their freedom a few months back. And also, if Sunday Igboho is now speaking of coming back to the country, I see no reason why such man should be on a forceful exile, to be a refugee in another country, to be a Nigerian chased out of his fatherland or motherland. Secondly, it is a shame to the outgone President Muhammadu Buhari's administration the way he has handled so many things in the country. You chased this man all because he was clamoring for a Yoruba nation. What are the reasons behind the chanting for a Yoruba nation? What led to this crusade? If not some people who sees themselves as sacred cows, the Fulanis. They turn themselves to be herdsmen. Are we saying it was only during Buhari time that the Fulani started going with the name as herdsmen? They've been in existence donkey years ago. There was no killing, no raping, no assaults, no maiming, no cattle rustling, nothing. They stay in the bush and they sometimes come into the town to do business and go back. The Yorubas in this interior part of the southwest, they buy cows from them, they do business with them on agriculture, to mention a few. And they started doing otherwise. They claim they are foreign Fulanis. How do you expect an ordinary Yoruba man to understand a foreign Fulani man to a Nigerian Fulani? How do you expect an ordinary Yoruba man who has never traveled out of southwest or even that particular community of his own you now expect him to differentiate between an Hausa man and a Fulani man. These people began killing, stealing, assaulting.
But some of the allegations that were made against him was that he was, attempting to divide the country into two. Just like the way they also related it to Nnamdi Kanu, which is from the southeast.
That is their relation and knowledge, not the Nigerian constitution. Nigeria is a country that has overstayed some constitutional figures that goes with the country, that after a particular year, if any part of the country deem it fit to go their separate ways, go to round table talk. If you cannot coexist again, Nigeria has overgrown. Yes, the age has been exhausted for any part to claim they want to go. Just like what happened in Sudan and South Sudan.
But when you make reference to dialogue,
yes.
Now, don't you think some leaders from Yoruba land, like the past head of state, President Olusegun, former President Olusegun, should be the best in position to have a kind of a roundtable seat on behalf of his people?
My question to you, the same Olusegun Obasanjo, ever since he left office 2007, and since Sunday Igboho came out to fight for his people, assaulted, raped our younger girls and our mothers and our wives who live on just a petty famine. Ever since this killing has been happening, this kidnapping happening in Southwest, have you ever witnessed a conference or a press gathering where Obasanjo has spoken out to support or against? It's on deaf ears.
He might be doing it on the ground.
There was nothing. There was no record. There was no record. And Buhari is a failure and will remain the worst president ever Nigeria has produced. Someone is agitating for a Yoruba nation, which is against the rule of law per se. But there was nothing like treasonable charge, because Sunday Igboho never used guns or cutlasses against anyone. He was only speaking. These people from your side are killing my people and I don't want it. Let us sit down and talk. Buhari never welcomed such idea.
But the government saw some of his activities as a threat to the state.
They were, that act of Buhari then was a biased president. He was biased. He wasn't truthful. He wasn't honest. He wasn't an honest man. He wasn't an honest man. Sunday Igboho never asked any of his followers to kill. Even there was a video where, is it Sediki or what is this man's name? That ran from Oyo State to Abeokuta, and from there we couldn't hear anything again. All of his subjects within his domain as their king pointed gun at Sunday Igboho. The trigger of the gun was used, but nothing came out.
Maybe they only did that to scare him.
They never did that to scare him. They meant to shoot him that very day, but the bullet never came out. That's the powers from the Yoruba land. Respect to that. Sunday Igboho retrieved the gun from the very man and said, if I'm here to kill you and you try shooting me with this gun and it didn't happen, I would have turned the gun to kill you in the reverse case, but I'm not doing that. I want peace. He's a crusader of peace movement. The Nigerian government under Buhari was a foul and a false president who sees the truth but never cared. When the Fulanis kept on killing and kidnapping the Yorubas, Buhari never said anything. Until when Sunday Igboho started saying, okay, we want our nation, Yoruba nation. Then he mentioned him to be someone against his presidency, against his administration. Any Fulani that was arrested got freedom.
But are you sure that if Sunday Igboho should come back home now, the current administration won't arrest him?
I am very sure, even if there's going to be any arrest, there will be programs ahead of such arrests. I see no reason why he should be arrested. I see no reason why he should be arrested.
Why?
Yes. He's only clamoring. And constitutionally, Nigeria has outgrown that age that binds the whole country as a nation. If anyone, go and read the constitution very well. If any part of the country wants to go, Come to the round table. Guy, these are the things we want from your side. These are the things that Nigeria can offer. They continue. If it doesn't pay them, allow them to go.
Because as a fugitive that is coming back into the state, don't you think the new administration will still see him as an enemy of the state?
Let's wait until then. Let's wait until then. His offense, I need to see it literally. Let me hear what Sunday Igboho has done as an offense. Let's see him. There is always a crusader for a movement. When you don't kill, when you don't fight, and when you don't steal, the way the Northerners have been doing, even since Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu assumed office as the president, is still ongoing. But it has reduced somehow from the southwest. Because you can see it is being politicized that yes, let's keep doing this thing because our man is at the ends of affair. Since Tinubu assumed office as a president, we have limited occurrence of such like the way we used to have it. It has reduced, except some parts in Ondo State, which I believe definitely something good is coming up to secure the southwest.
Something good is coming up.
Exactly.
If you are just joining us, this is BGI TV Current. You can put up your response at the comment section. Moire, do we have any headline from your end there?
No, time is against us already, and I want to say a big thank you to everyone that has joined us and those that will still be watching us on our program. Thank you for the love. We appreciate you. We'll meet again some other time, maybe next week precisely. My name still remains Moribe Rabila Lawal, and on our YouTube handle, BGI TV Current, kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell, select option all to have access all of our programs, and on Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawiye Adebayo. And for advert placement or coverage of events and functions, please call the phone number streaming on your screen. My name, once again, Moribe Rabila Lawal. Good morning.
And it has been a wonderful time with you going through the paper review for this morning. My name remains Ige or Lalekon. If you enjoyed this episode, kindly join us next week again for another edition. Take care and have a lovely day. Bye.